All right. Why do we love challenges? Challenges motivate us to do what we know we need to do, but aren't doing. It makes something that's not so fun feel fun. And it's also because of the support that we get while we're doing them. We're not all alone. It's always much better to do things when we're not all alone. Too often, we don't do what we set out to do. Today, I'm going to help you to understand why that happens and give you the information you need to succeed, even when it feels like you've already failed. Does this happen to you? When I start something, I'm completely motivated and completely confident that this time things are going to be different. Does that happen to you? More times than not, when we begin something new, we discover days later that we're either worse off than we were before, or in complete disbelief that we've even thought that change was possible. One day you're on the top of the world feeling like a complete superhuman, and the next day you're at your lowest low wondering what the heck happened. I can't be alone here. Falling off track looks different for everybody, but falling off track is unavoidable. When we fall off track, we second guess the process, we feel like a failure and wonder if we're doing the right thing, and become discouraged because we don't see the progress that we expected to see. And this happens too. We get distracted, our commitment falls off, and way too often we give in to what's known as shiny object syndrome, and we jump track to the next thing that looks like it's the answer. Now, this is what nobody tells us. Falling off track is normal. It is part of the process. It is not a sign of failure. When we understand what is happening, we can and will achieve what we go for. We will continue on the road to success, whatever that success is that we're after. And here's how. Expect it. Expect what? Falling off the track. Plan for it. Plan for falling off the track. And understand it. Understand what's going on. Why am I falling off track? We're human. Problems come with the territory. Tony Robbins said, our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. That's so big. Isn't that such a big statement? Our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. Our problem isn't that we keep getting derailed. It's that we think that we shouldn't. Change isn't miraculous. It's a habit. It's something that can be developed. It takes a plan. It takes consistency. It takes repetition, and it takes time. It's a messy process. It's not supposed to be smooth sailing. Don't forget this quote, okay? Our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. So when you're done listening to this and you begin to work on something that you wanted to start new, and then you feel that feeling of, oh, this isn't happening the way I thought it would. Remember that quote, okay? Our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. Planning for being derailed is like carrying a spare tire. We know a flattening is inevitable, but we don't feel like a failure if it happens. If we end up on the side of the road, calling AAA or getting the spare and jack out to get the issue fixed, we see it as a solution, not a failure. If we're frustrated on the side of the road, it isn't because we had the flat, it's because we weren't prepared for it. Understanding the ebb and flow of starting something new and how we react and respond to everything that happens when we start something new is what will keep us on track. When we find ourselves in the state of quitting, feeling like we failed, or becoming derailed, we have to see that these things are just phases, not failures. Introducing the Dunning-Kruger Effect. It explains why we start off excited, but then never actually reach the goal we were excited about reaching. Okay, ready? When we begin something new, our confidence is high, but our experience and our skill level is low. They call that the amount of stupidity. It's also been called uninformed optimism. When we begin at our starting point and go from low to high, we then realize our skills are not up to speed and our confidence goes down. Do you see this? I really want this to sink in. Think about your process, okay? You just saw something that sounded exciting. Oh, look, Kathy has a daily routine challenge. I'm going to do this. And then, you hear it, you listen to the first recording or the first video that we get together and do, and you're so excited. You do the assignment and you start it, and then you feel not so great because the next day, you don't exactly do what it is you planned on doing. And so that's why they call that the amount of stupidity, because we don't realize at that point that our skills are really low. We're not good at this yet. We don't know enough to start out like a gung-ho or like in complete success. When you really think about it, doesn't it help you see, oh, the next time I start something and it doesn't go quite right, well, what do I expect? Why should it go quite right? I never did this before, or I'm not practiced at this. Here's the next slide. It looks quite a lot like the other one, but you notice that there's something else that's going on here. The other slide, we're at our starting point and we are confident. We got our backpack on, we've got our walking stick, and we are ready to go on the road. And we think that it's going to be a straight line. We're confident, we're ready. But then what happens? We go from the amount of stupidity into the depths of despair, because we don't start out at the bottom walking. We start at the top. And then what happens? We fall. We don't do so great at the start. We see what we don't know and feel like a failure. And then the voices start. See, I knew you wouldn't stick with it. What was I thinking? This is not who you are. You can't do this. It's why the confidence level we start with is called the amount of stupidity, and why, when we begin, we fall into the valley of despair. Our skill, our experience, our mindset, our motivation, our lifestyle, it's all in a lower point at this time that we start anything. That's why we so often crash and fall off track. We expect to do too much at the start. We expect to do things perfectly or better than is realistic. We fall into that valley of despair thinking we'll never make it out of there and that we might as well quit. We're simply in a place we've never been before. We're in an unrecognizable place. We're outside of our comfort zone. That's all. So our confidence is severely affected. And what we need is informed pessimism. Remember that spare tire? That's informed pessimism. So let's say, all right, I recognize that I don't know everything. And so I'm going to not start at a place where I think this is it. I'm going to rock it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to recognize that I don't have a high skill set. I don't have the experience. My mindset is not at the place where it needs to be yet. I need to keep my motivation up, but not to the point where I feel like failure or missteps is not an option. And I need to realize that my lifestyle up until this point has not reflected what it is that I want. Now, let's start going. And you know what happens? We start going, and then there's another thing that we've got to see. We've got to see that it isn't always a straight line that we're walking on. We've got to climb a mountain, a couple of mountains. It's wonderful that sometimes we get to slide down, but then we've got to climb up again. Anytime we've ever succeeded at anything, we know that that's the process of things. So start at the mountain of stupidity. We decide, I don't want to start there. I'm going to start exactly where I am, understanding my skills, my experience, my mindset, my motivation, and my lifestyle. So we start here. It takes effort and growth and energy to climb the initial hill. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens with effort. Since life is what it is, remember the spare tire. You're going to hit potholes. So you're going to go straight across, you're going to go up, you're going to go down. When you go down again, you're going to feel like, oh, but remember the process. You're still on the track. You haven't fallen off. The ups and downs are part of the track. It's the process, okay? It is the process. Now, what we're not seeing is that the journey changes us. We're in a different place than we were before. Each time we continue, and each time we crash, we're at a little bit of a different level, but we're in a higher place than we were before. But when we crash again, we don't really realize that. We think, oh, here I go again, but it's not true. Because if you start and you go and then you move up, when you go again and then you crash again, you crashed from a higher level than you were before. We have a new baseline each time. We keep moving up, then we have another baseline. We're always still on track because the ups and downs is part of the journey, okay? It's part of the process. The challenges are not setbacks, they're normal. We're still moving forward, even if it doesn't look like we're making progress. If you're doing something, then something's happening. Pretty soon, our crashes are for shorter periods of time, fewer and further between, and not so drastic. Each time we stretch to a little bit different from where we were before. Future lows will be higher than our current highs. This is the cycle of growth, and this is called the slope of enlightenment, continuing to reach new levels. Our old high becomes our new low. See this? So this is something that you really do have to look forward to. It doesn't start on the slope of enlightenment. It does start in a space of cluelessness. And then we just go. And then we realize, all right, if I'm going to have to do the work, it's going to be a little hard. So we climb a little bit. We climb that mountain. We're putting forth our energy. Then sometimes we crash or we slide, or it's good. Things are good. So it's kind of like a sleigh ride. It doesn't always have to be a crash. It could be like, oh, this is great. But we always have to keep going, because horrible that turns into bad seems good. So when we're starting out with something, you want to keep going. If we have a goal, say to lose weight and feel better, we want to put a number to that. Because in any area of life, if you have a goal to have the house clean and organized, right? Well, you want to actually have a real vision and a real ultimate goal in getting the house together. What is your vision for that house? Because if we don't have that end game in mind, what happens is we start out, it gets better, and then we relax and we think, oh, this is great. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'm happy here. But it's really just not horrible anymore. Here's an example with, like, say, losing weight. You want to lose weight. So your goal, well, you say is, I want to look better and feel better. But you know that you really want to get back into those pants. Say you're a size 8 and you got to a size 14 and you want to get to a size 8. Let's just say that, all right? But you didn't actually say, my goal is to be a size 8. Without that absolute goal, what happens is, as we're moving ahead, and I'm going to show you this one here. See that? As we're moving ahead, sometimes things get better. And then when we crash again, or it could be a sleigh ride where it's like, oh, this is easy. This is great. We can get to a place where we're complacent, but we're not there yet. We're not where we want to go. If, with the example with the diet, like I was saying, so you feel better and look better. That could happen in 2 weeks. Your pants are looser, you feel better, you look better, but are you in the size 8? No, not yet. And so what happens? If you stop and you don't recognize that this is what happened, then you stop and you stay in that space for a while, and then you don't feel so great, you don't look so great, but you feel better and you look better than you did before. And then you realize, I have to keep going. I stopped. And that's what we want to do with getting the house together. And I'm telling you this from experience. It happens all the time. People get started, they get so excited, they start to see a result, and then the voices come. So that's why it's a great idea to have an end goal. What do you want to reach? And then understanding this process all as you go. And then also knowing that as you go, it's almost like it's an initiation, sort of, that when you get started, it's hard. But remember, you give hard different meaning. But as you get going, it gets easier. That slope of enlightenment happens, and it gets to be more fun. So that was that. I hope that this was as enlightening for you as it was for me, because when I learned this, I was so excited, because I would start things that are very difficult for us. If it's something that we don't have a lot of confidence in, something we really don't know how to do, something we don't have an instructor there to encourage us, to show us, to lead us as we go, it's very easy to start something and then feel like, I can't do this. And then when I learned this, it was such a eye-opener for me of why there were so many things that I had wanted to do, but based on my circumstances, the baggage I was carrying, depending on what it was that I was going for, why some things were harder for me to achieve than others. So I guess I'll go. There's no more comments in Facebook. Love you guys. Don't forget to book a call with me if you want any more information. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If it was something that you felt that you got value from, and you know that you want more and you want help from me, click on a link that lives somewhere on this page. If you're watching it on YouTube, then go in the description box. There'll be a link there for you. You can always email me as well, Kathy@thetidytutor.com, and I will respond and we will get connected. I look forward to getting to know you, and I look forward to hearing from you.
You got bugs called a bug eye. You cook bacon apple pie. If you show, you fix your tail. Cleaner, cleaner. sink's clogged up with dinner time gunk. You pick up the phone and call Roto-Rooter to make it all work. You call the tidy tutor.
I think that was pretty good, don't you?